Heartwarming. Discover the incredible transformation pickup truck prices set to plummet soon. As the summer sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the small Midwestern town, Mark stood in the corner of the bustling community barbecue, his heart heavy with unspoken dreams. The sizzle of burgers on the grill and the laughter of children filled the air, yet a tangible weight pulled him down. Just a couple of years shy of 40, Mark had spent countless hours in the garage, fixing cars, building trust, and barely scraping by on paychecks that only covered the essentials for his wife and 3 kids. The thought of owning a truck danced tantalizingly at the periphery of his mind, an image of connection and unity that loomed just beyond reach. Amid the lively chatter of neighbors, Mark caught a snippet of conversation from a group gathered nearby. A local businessman, known for his flashy trucks and charity work, had declared, "I want to make vehicles affordable for families in our community." Those words hung like bright balloons in the dusk, filling Mark's chest with a strange mix of excitement and hesitation. Could this really be the opening he had been waiting for? But a familiar doubt crept in, gnawing away at his hope. Who would take a struggling mechanic like him seriously in the eyes of the town leaders, most of whom had never known the struggles of making ends meet? As whispers of lowered truck prices rippled through the room, tension cascaded through Mark's heart. He glanced at his wife, Anna, chatting with friends. She looked so alive, her laughter ringing out, completely unaware of the storm brewing inside him. Then, something deeper tugged at his core. Visions of weekend trips with his kids, neighborly bonding, and community events filled his mind. Mark imagined how a simple truck could bring everyone together, making life richer for his family. Yet, the winds of reality were harsh. The days were long, and the bills were piling high, whispering constant reminders of his limitations. Just as courage began to swell in Mark's heart, life hit him hard. A financial crisis loomed over his family when his eldest, Lucy, came home with news of rising school costs. His stomach churned as thoughts raced. What would it mean for them if he decided to pursue that truck? The town buzzed with promising truck prices, and he could feel his neighbors rallying behind him, urging him to voice the dream they all secretly harbored. Before he could speak, a painful sting hit when he overheard a leader's disdainful comments. "Why would we help someone like him?" The words sliced through the air, igniting a fire in Mark's chest. In that moment, he realized he wasn't just fighting for himself. He carried the weight of so many others, invisible but present in his heart. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The community meeting loomed large on the horizon, and Mark's heart raced with anticipation. It was no longer just about a truck. It was about belonging and recognition. As the days trickled down, he found himself standing at a crossroads, to strive for the American dream or to safeguard the dreams of many others who sat quietly in his shadow. The weight of this decision clung to him as he prepared to voice not just his wish, but the dreams of a community yearning for connection. Would he rise against the tide of prejudice, or let the chance slip through his fingers, just like the summer sun dipping quietly behind the trees? The evening of the community meeting arrived, cloaked in a sense of urgency and hope. The town hall buzzed with voices, a mixture of excitement and skepticism as residents gathered to hear about the proposed lowering of truck prices. Mark shifted nervously at the back of the room, taking in the crowd he'd grown up with. Faces he recognized, people he admired, yet he felt like an outsider. As the chatter faded and the town mayor took the stage, Mark felt his heart pound loudly in his chest. "We're here to discuss an incredible opportunity for our families," the mayor began, his voice strong and commanding. "As prices begin to drop, we want everyone to be part of this change. Let us make our community stronger, together." The applause erupted, and for a fleeting moment, Mark felt a surge of warmth. But the wave of enthusiasm quickly began to crash on the rocks of his insecurities. Doubts flooded in. Was he truly ready to step into a light he often felt unworthy of? As the mayor continued, Mark's eyes flitted around the room, landing on Lucy, waving to him from a few rows ahead. Her smile shone like sunlight breaking through clouds. For her, it would mean weekend adventures and laughter shared in the wide cab of a pickup truck. He imagined her smile mirroring his own as they drove off to explore. Then the mayor called for community input. Who would like to share their thoughts? It was like a jolt of electricity, igniting a flicker of courage deep inside Mark. But just as quickly, fear crept back in like shadows after dusk. What will they think of me if I dare to speak? He had spent so long in the mechanics bay, finessing engines rather than engaging in dialogue. Before Mark could reconsider, his neighbor Sam stood up, a burly man with a booming voice. This is a game changer. I've always wanted a truck for my family. Let us make it happen. Applause filled the room again, invigorating the crowd. Mark felt a spark of kinship in Sam's enthusiasm. Perhaps there was a way for him to join the chorus of voices. Yet his doubts gnawed at him. What if they saw him as just a fixer of broken engines, not a member of the community deserving of their support? But then, Anna, sensing his internal battle, reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. The warmth of her touch pulled him back to the moment. Mark, you've worked harder than anyone to build this community. You need to say something, she whispered. Taking a deep breath, Mark rose. Heart racing, he made his way to the front, every step feeling like an eternity. He cleared his throat, standing before familiar faces, and for a moment, the room swirled with a sea of encouraging glances. Hi everyone. He halted, swallowing his nerves as he caught sight of Lucy again. This isn't just about trucks for me. It's about family, about connection, about dreams we all share. I've seen how hard it is for many of us, how tough it can be to keep the lights on. Eyes began to soften, and whispers of agreement floated through the air. The warmth surrounding him felt tangible. But I believe we can dream together, he continued, his voice steadying. Not just for me, but for you. For all our families. Let us take this chance and make our community stronger. Applause erupted, sending an exhilarating rush through him. He could see it now, the possibility of unity among neighbors, the chance to advocate for those who felt unheard. He smiled, borne by this unexpected wave of support. Mark stepped down, exhilarated yet apprehensive. The mayor announced, "Thank you, Mark. Together we can create the change we crave." But as cheers faded into the buzz of conversations, a shadow of doubt re-entered his mind. What if the wheels of change were too big to turn? Would they truly stand behind him when it mattered the most? The crowd began to disperse, hope mixing with uncertainty, and Mark wondered what would come next. Would he secure a truck not just for himself, but for everyone who dared to dream? As the evening darkened, the uncertainty hovered like the last rays of sun setting on the horizon, leaving Mark pondering how far he was willing to go to chase that light. A few days passed since the meeting, yet the vibrant echoes of support still lingered in Mark's heart. Each morning, he awoke with purpose, the image of Lucy's smile pushing him to chase after a dream that seemed more tangible than ever. The feeling of community, so palpable during the meeting, had ignited something deep within him. It was time to do more than just dream. Mark decided to visit the local garage. It had been a haven for him, a place where he not only repaired trucks, but also built the foundation of his relationships within the town. The scent of oil and metal swirled around him, a nostalgic reminder of how far he'd come. His fellow mechanics, friends like Tom and Jerry, were gathered around a battered pickup they were fixing. "Hey, Mark," Tom called, his face lighting up. "You're looking fired up. What is going on? You gonna run for mayor next?" Mark chuckled, shaking his head. "No, nothing like that. Just thinking about that meeting. I want to organize something, a community day. We could invite everyone, create some excitement around those price drops. Make it about us." Tom raised an eyebrow. "You sure you want to step into that spotlight again? Last time looked pretty daunting." The nervousness from the town hall threatened to resurface, but Mark pressed on. "I think people need a reason to connect. Trucks, yes, but more than that. I want them to feel like they truly belong." Jerry chimed in. "I'm all in. Do you need help setting it up?" Before he knew it, the mechanics were fully on board. Ideas flew like sparks in the air. They envisioned a picnic, games for kids, and maybe even a contest to see who could make the best chili. Mark's heart raced with excitement. This was the first step toward fostering the unity he spoke about. As days passed, the planning progressed, and with each detail, Mark felt a rush of adrenaline. He contacted local vendors, organized activities, and spread the word. He couldn't shake the nervous fidgeting in his stomach, but the sense of purpose outweighed it. Then one evening, as he was putting up flyers in town, he spotted Lucy across the street, organizing a craft fair with her friends. She caught his eye and waved, her hair glistening gold in the sun. He hesitated, wondering how to approach her with his plans. Taking a breath, he walked over, excitement spurring him on. "Hey, Lucy, I'm putting together a community day. It'll be fun. You should join." Her eyes widened with delight. "That sounds amazing. I've been wanting to do something big for the town too. How can I help?" Mark found himself smiling, an unexpected warmth spreading in his chest. "We can use extra hands. Think we could invite your craft fair folks to join?" "Absolutely. I'll rally them up." As she spoke, a glow enveloped them, the kind that felt electric, hopeful. Together, they began planning the event, tossing ideas back and forth. Laughter spilled out between serious planning, and Mark realized that this wasn't just about connecting the community, it was about building something with Lucy, something beautiful. With every day leading up to the community day, Mark's pulse quickened. The enthusiasm he felt rising in tandem with growing anticipation from neighbors fueled him more than he expected. People were excited. They wanted to join in. But as the day approached, unease also crept back in. Mark worried about the attendance. What if he set expectations too high? What if the townspeople didn't care as much as he hoped? Then, as the dawn of the big day neared, he caught a glimpse of the town square from his window. Would this really become a turning point for them all? He took a deep breath, unsure if he was ready for whatever came next, but knowing, one way or another, it would change everything. What surprises awaited him on this community day? And would he truly inspire the unity he envisioned? The sun rose lazily over the town square, bathing everything in soft, golden light. Mark stood at his window, anticipation coursing through him like the first rush of spring after a long winter. He could see the faint outlines of tables and tents being set up. The air was alive with the sounds of laughter, shouts, and a sense of excitement that permeated everything. Stepping outside, he marveled at how transformed the square looked. The once empty space was now bustling with activity. Colorful banners flapped in the light breeze, and the mouth-watering smell of breakfast being cooked wafted through the air. Vendors had begun to arrive, their stands brimming with wares, while kids chased each other around, their laughter echoing. Mark took a moment to soak it all in. A group of townsfolk was unloading trucks filled with supplies. He spotted Jerry nearby, guiding a couple of kids who were putting balloons on a makeshift arch. Tom walked over, wiping his hands on a rag, his expression brimming with enthusiasm. "Can you believe it? Look at all these people," Tom exclaimed, scanning the growing crowd with wide eyes. "This is what it's all about." Mark smiled, but beneath that smile lay a nagging doubt. Would they stay? Would the day meet their expectations? He pushed the worries aside, reminding himself of the purpose behind it all, the true goal of unity. As the hours rolled by, familiar faces emerged. Neighbors he hadn't seen in months showed up, their expressions bright with curiosity and excitement. Mark moved through the crowd, shaking hands and exchanging hugs. He noticed Lucy darting between booths, sprinkling her infectious energy wherever she went. "Hey, Mark," she called out, holding up a string of handmade crafts. "Look at these. The kids are loving the craft station." He felt a rush of warmth at the sight of her joy, at how effortless they worked together. This was not just an event. It was a celebration of their community's spirit, a testament to the bonds they were building. As afternoon approached, Mark stood at the center of the square, a microphone in his hand. The crowd quieted, eyes turned toward him. His heart raced, but beneath that anxiety lay pure determination. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his voice strong. "Today isn't just about trucks and prices. It's about us coming together to share, to connect, and to celebrate what makes our community great." Cheers erupted, sending a surge of energy through Mark. The feeling was intoxicating. People wanted to be part of this, to stand united. However, as the sun began to set, an unexpected cloud rolled in. A group of people, visibly upset, made their way to the front. Mark recognized a couple of familiar faces, not from their local crew, but from a neighboring town. There was tension in the air. He feared the distortions they might bring to the day. "What's going on?" Mark asked, trying to suppress the dread in his stomach. "We heard about the price drops," one of them said, frustration etching into her features. "But we didn't know about this. It feels unfair." The words hung in the air, heavy and charged with emotion. Mark felt his heart drop. Just when things seemed perfect, a storm brewed within what was supposed to be a joyful gathering. It was a moment of truth that had arrived faster than he expected. Would he crumble under pressure? Would he allow fear to silence him? Determined, he took a breath, ready to respond. But before he could gather his thoughts, Lucy stepped close, ready to support him in whatever came next. Their eyes locked, and in her gaze, he found the reassurance he needed. What would he say to heal the rift at such a crucial moment? Would he rise to the occasion, or would doubt pull him back from the community he envisioned being built? Mark's heart raced, a whirlwind of thoughts flooding his mind. He glanced around, taking in the faces of his friends and neighbors. Eyes were wide, brows furrowed. There was confusion mixed with anger, and he knew he had to act. "Listen," he began, raising his hand to silence the murmurs growing in the crowd. "I understand your frustration. It's easy to feel left out, especially in a moment like this. But I need you to know, this gathering is for everyone, and it's about more than just prices." The crowd shifted uncertainly. Lucy stepped closer, her silent encouragement a lifeline. "We've all worked hard to make this day special. Yes, we've dropped our prices to help our community, but it wasn't meant to exclude anyone. We want you here with us. What can we do to make this right?" His voice trembled slightly, the sincerity of his words catching the attention of the unhappy group. The woman who had spoken up earlier crossed her arms, her expression softening just a bit. "We came here hoping to be part of something. It feels like we're being shut out." Mark nodded, his pulse quickening. "You're not being shut out," he insisted. "You're part of this town's story. We can't grow and thrive without each other. This day is about community, and that includes you. So let us figure it out together." With every word, Mark felt the dampening tension start to fade. A few people nodded, and he sensed a small wave of understanding washing over them. He lunged for that moment, heart racing with renewed hope. "How about we showcase your local crafts? We'd love to have a booth for you all. Share your stories. Help us make this a true celebration of what we all bring to the table." Lucy raised her hand, joining in. "Yes, it's a chance to learn about each other, to build bridges. We can have a craft swap, or share some food together. Let us put our heads together and make it a day to remember." Mark's enthusiasm surged as he met Lucy's gaze, feeling boosted by her energy. The crowd's previous tension began to morph, becoming curiosity and even excitement. A young man from the back shouted, "Yeah, let us do that. We want to be part of this too." As cheers echoed through the square, Mark felt the heaviness begin to lift, embraced by the collective spirit of the group. What had started as a rocky moment was shifting into something promising and collaborative. As laughter erupted again, it settled into the realization that they were not just neighboring towns, but a community united. With everyone buzzing with renewed energy, Mark turned his focus back to the microphone. "Thank you for believing in this. Let us get creative. And remember, we're all neighbors here. Together, we can make this something truly special." The entire square echoed with agreement. Excitement filled the air once more, and Mark could hardly believe the shift. It felt like they had sidestepped a crisis and turned it into an opportunity. But just as he began to relish in their newfound unity, a loud crash resonated from one of the tents near the edge of the square. Startled faces turned toward the sound, and a wave of unease swept through the crowd. What had gone wrong now? Would this be another test for Mark? As the crowd murmured, Mark gripped the microphone tighter and stepped forward, heart racing once again, ready for whatever was next. How would he help his community navigate yet another storm? The crash echoed, silencing the rising excitement in an instant. Mark felt a wave of anxiety wash over him as he turned toward the source. A tent flapped wildly in the breeze, and under it, his neighbor Tom was struggling to lift a metal frame that had collapsed, sending boxes of homemade snacks tumbling to the ground. And oh, not now. Mark's heart sank at the sight of the mess. He rushed toward Tom, determination fueling his steps. "Tom, are you okay?" He reached out, helping him lift the heavy frame. "I'm fine, just caught off guard," Tom replied, brushing sweat and dirt from his forehead. The food scattered around them, a mix of pies, cookies, and lemonade, looked like a battlefield of community spirit shattered. Lucy was right behind Mark, her face a mixture of concern and resolve. "We can fix this. Everyone, come help," she called out to the crowd, her voice cutting through the tension. Several hands shot up, and before Mark fully realized it, people were rushing to aid Tom. They worked together like a well-oiled machine, racing against time to salvage what they could. The young man's voice from earlier rang out again. "Let us make sure the day isn't ruined. Together." With every box they picked up, with every pie that was righted, Mark felt the energy shift once more. Laughter echoed amid the chaos as someone joked about the lemon pie looking like a sad pancake now, and the crowd lightened with every quip shared. It was a reminder of who they were, neighbors who could turn disaster into camaraderie. As they cleared the mess, Lucy leaned in close to Mark, her eyes sparkly with determination. "We can't just let this chaos define the event. Let us turn it into a story." Mark nodded, feeling newfound hope. "Let us create a crazy town cleanup challenge and invite everyone to share their tales, laughing along the way. It could be a part of our celebration." The crowd buzzed with energy once more, excitement returning in waves. People started to gather around Mark, offering insights and ideas on what could happen next. A sense of purpose knitted them back together. They weren't just neighbors anymore. They were a community fostering resilience. Just as everything felt aligned, someone shouted from the back, "Wait, what happened to the sound system?" A sinking feeling gripped Mark. The music had become another casualty of the frantic cleanup effort. The rhythm, the spark they had rekindled, it was all slipping away again. He glanced at Lucy, her expression flickering between concern and determination. "We can do this," she encouraged, catching the eye of those nearest. "We have people who can bring instruments. Let us make music together live." Mark's heart swelled at the sight of everyone buzzing with enthusiasm once more, gathering in circle while others shared their instruments to improvise melodies. A young girl tapped her drumsticks on an empty box, finding a beat. Laughter danced among them, harmonizing with the spontaneous tunes. "I'll grab my guitar," called out a voice from the back. "Coming this way." As the music filled the square, Mark couldn't help but smile. He watched as Tom chuckled, licking lemonade from his fingers as he tidied up once more. But just then, as the laughter and melody soared, a shadow flickered at the edge of the crowd. A figure looked on, a somber expression hidden beneath a hood, watching the lively scene unfold. Who was this stranger? What could he want in the midst of their celebration? With his heart pounding, Mark felt a chill run down his spine. Mark's heartbeat quickened as he kept his eyes on the hooded figure lurking just out of reach. The joyful sounds of music and laughter fell away for a moment, swallowed by a wave of uncertainty that felt heavy in the air. "Hey, are you all right?" Lucy's voice broke through his thoughts, snapping him back to the moment. She was still beside him, her face etched with concern. Mark shook his head slightly, trying to shake off the unease, but his gaze remained fixed on the stranger. "I don't know, Lucy," he admitted quietly. "Something feels off about him, doesn't it?" Lucy followed his gaze, her brows knitting as she studied the figure. "Maybe he just feels out of place. This celebration is a bit chaotic, but that doesn't mean he's here to ruin anything." Mark took a deep breath, knowing Lucy was often the voice of reason. But he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this stranger. The way he stood there, seemingly disconnected from the energy radiating around them, made him uneasy. "Let us just keep an eye on him for now," Mark suggested. "I have a feeling he might." Before he could finish, the hooded figure took a step forward. People turned, drawn by the sudden shift in energy. Music faltered, instruments quieted, and a collective silence washed over the crowd as the stranger appeared fully in view. "Excuse me." His voice, deep but edged with nerves, carried through the square. Can I join you?" Mark could see how the crowd hesitated, exchanging glances. There was a flicker of apprehension, a look on several faces that suggested they weren't sure what to make of him. But Lucy stepped up, her spirit unyielding. "Of course. We'd love for you to join us. We're just celebrating our community." With a shy nod, the stranger approached hesitantly, lowering his hood to reveal a young man with weathered features and a hopeful smile. The unexpected warmth in his expression started to soften the tension that had settled in the air. I'm new to the area. I saw the signs for the celebration and thought I'd come check it out," he said, glancing around at the scattered remnants of the food and music. Mark noticed the young man's eyes darting back to the ground, as if he felt undeserving of their attention. "Welcome. I'm Mark, and this is Lucy." Mark chose his words carefully, wanting to create a welcoming atmosphere. "We were just about to make some music. Got anything you'd like to share?" He hesitated, glancing at the instruments around him. "I can play a bit of guitar," he confessed. "Great." Lucy beamed, moving aside to give him space. "Let us get you set up." As Mark and Lucy helped the young man grab a guitar, a quiet excitement built among the crowd. He took a deep breath before strumming a few chords, a sound that instantly drew everyone's attention. "Let us sing something together," he suggested, and Mark couldn't help but smile as the earlier worry began to dissolve. The young man's tentative energy began to shift, and the echoes of laughter returned, uniting them again in an unexpected camaraderie. But just as the music filled the air once more, the stranger hesitated mid-strum, a shadow of doubt crossing his face. I don't want to mess this up for you all," he said, voice wavering. "Hey, we're a community. We support each other, no matter what," Lucy chimed in, her tone warm and encouraging. "You're one of us now." Mark's heart swelled with pride for the support they were all showing. Yet, he still couldn't shake the lingering questions about this newcomer. Who was he really? What brought him here today? "Let us see what you've got," Mark encouraged, leaning in closer. Perhaps this young man had a story worth sharing, one that could help the entire community heal in ways they hadn't anticipated. As the music took off, Mark watched as the hooded man began to unfurl. But just then, somewhere in the crowd, a familiar voice spoke up. "What is your story, friend?" That question hung in the air heavier than any note. And as the crowd leaned in, Mark felt a mix of anticipation and concern surge within him. What revelations would surround them next? The crowd's attention shifted as the young man, caught in the spotlight of unexpected curiosity, hesitated. His fingers paused on the strings, a flicker of vulnerability dancing across his features. Mark noticed the shift in the atmosphere. Enthusiasm mingled with caution, as everyone was eager for a glimpse into the newcomer's world. It's complicated," the young man finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't mean to interrupt your celebration. I thought music would help me feel less alone." The moment lingered, thickening in the air as he searched their expressions. Mark felt a potent mix of empathy and urgency rise within him. "You're not alone," he urged, his words gentle. "We're all here to share in this. Let us in." Lucy stepped closer, her eyes sparkling with compassion. "You started this with your music. Just let it flow, and we'll follow you wherever it leads." Encouraged by their responses, the young man nodded slowly, swallowing hard, as if he was about to shed more than just his doubts. "My name's Ethan," he revealed, finally meeting their gazes, a flicker of determination emerging. "I've been wandering, moving from place to place. I lost my family last year. I thought maybe music could help me find a piece of myself again." The crowd shifted, tension easing as vulnerability sparked connection. Murmurs of sympathy rippled through people around them. Mark felt a profound ache in his chest at Ethan's confession. It wasn't just his story. It resonated with the unexpressed struggles many carried silently within their own hearts. "Right here, right now, you're part of something," Mark said, his voice firm yet kind. "And we can all help each other feel like we truly belong." Ethan took a deep breath, letting the warmth from their faces wash over him. Adjusting his hold on the guitar, he strummed a few chords, more confidently this time. The balance of hope and sorrow was palpable. A few moments later, he began to sing, his voice raw with emotion. The song wrapped itself around the crowd like a warm embrace. Mark felt a wave of unity as voices joined in, some hesitant, others bold, creating a tapestry of sound that echoed through the square. Laughter and tears mingled freely, mixing with the chords that rang through the evening. As the chorus built, Mark couldn't help but feel a deep shift within him and everyone around. The stranger who only moments ago seemed so out of place was now at the heart of a collective healing, a reminder of resilience and the power of shared experiences. Suddenly, the celebration felt larger than anyone could have anticipated, linked by the threads of vulnerability, compassion, and music. But just as the final strum faded into silence, a commotion at the edge of the crowd caught Mark's attention. A group of people was huddled around something or someone with expressions that suggested alarm. "What is going on?" he asked, heart racing. As the crowd began to shift and flow away from the stage, he could feel unease creeping back in. What could disrupt this moment of connection? Ethan's eyes mirrored Mark's concern. Should we check it out? He asked, the earlier confidence fading into worry. Mark nodded, adrenaline kicking in. Let us go? Together, they pushed through the throng, uncertainty bubbling as they approached the heart of the commotion. What lay ahead could change everything they had just built together, or it could bring more revelations. Pushing the boundaries of their newfound community, as they reached the epicenter, Mark couldn't help but wonder what or who awaited them now. As Mark and Ethan forced their way through the crowd, the volume of murmuring voices grew louder, anxiety hanging thick in the air. Faces twisted with concern and disbelief surrounded them, yet nobody was moving to intervene. The closer they got, the more Mark could see a woman collapsed on the ground, surrounded by a small group of equally distressed onlookers. Is she okay? Mark shouted over the anxious chorus, hoping someone would respond. His heart raced, a mix of fear and urgency gripping his chest. Ethan looked on, his earlier resolve wavering again as he surveyed the scene. Sensing the weight of the moment, they squeezed through the last barrier of people, finally breaking through to reveal the woman, a middle-aged figure, her eyes closed, face pale against the cobblestone street. Her friend knelt beside her, gently shaking her shoulders. Kathy, please wake up, she pleaded, her voice barely containing the tremor of panic. Mark snapped into action. Someone call an ambulance, he yelled, even as he instinctively knelt beside the woman. Ethan, can you check if she's breathing? Ethan hesitated, but the urgency in Mark's voice drove him forward. He knelt down, carefully tilting her head back, placing his fingers on her throat, and searching for a pulse. The crowd watched, breath held in collective anxiety that Mark's own heart pounded as he counted the seconds, praying for good news. This moment felt surreal. Just moments ago, they'd been wrapped in camaraderie, united by music. Now, they were thrust into dire circumstances. Uncertainty is shifting their bond into something more profound, a shared concern for a stranger. Come on, Ethan whispered, his voice cracking slightly. Mark glanced up at the bystanders, catching glimpses of their worried expressions. He needed to keep the energy moving. Everyone stepped back. Give her space. Slowly, a few people parted, creating a bit of room. A heavy silence enveloped them, only broken by muffled cries and the occasional shuffle of feet. Time felt suspended, each second stretching agonizingly as they awaited the woman's response. Ethan finally found it. I think she is breathing, he practically shouted, an audible relief washing over his face. Mark's heart settled just a bit, a flicker of hope igniting in his chest. Someone bring water. We need to keep her calm, Mark urged, feeling a surge of leadership he didn't know he had. The crowd seemed to shift, mobilizing around them, hands reaching to help, voices echoing the need for support. As if the universe responded to their unspoken call, a kind stranger rushed forward with a bottle. Here, she exclaimed, handing it to Ethan, who had taken the woman's head into his lap, gently propping her up. Kathy, please open your eyes, her friend insisted, stroking her hair back from her face. Tenderness flowed through the worried murmurs, and those gathered began exchanging glances and half-smiles. A sense of solidarity against the unknown. In that fragile moment, Mark sensed something profound had shifted within the crowd. The music, the laughter, and even the fear had summoned a community unlike any he had ever seen. Everyone was connected by the thread of compassion, willing to step outside of themselves together. Then, the woman's eyelids fluttered open. A collective gasp flowed through the group, and relief washed over Mark like a wave. Kathy's gaze was hazy as she focused on her friend's face, confusion clouding her features. What happened? She murmured, her voice weak but filled with recognition. You fainted, her friend replied, tears of relief spilling from her eyes. But you're okay. We're all here with you. Just as they began to settle back into the rhythm of hope, the ominous sound of sirens echoed in the distance, slicing through the moment of healing. Mark's heart dropped again. Will she be okay? What if Ethan began, but Mark placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Let us focus on what we can do. We've made it this far together. But as the ambulance lights flickered into view, a new wave of uncertainty cascaded through the Crowd. Something was shifting in the air, and Mark felt it deep down. This wasn't just a moment of community. It was the beginning of a transformation. What other challenges lay ahead for them? Now that they had tasted both connection and vulnerability, the sirens drew closer, each wail previewing a future marked by both fear and hope. And as they stood together, all united by Kathy's recovery, Mark couldn't help but wonder what awaited them on the other side of this shared experience. The ambulances arrived swiftly, lights flashing like stars in the dimming twilight. Mark stood by as the paramedics worked quickly, assessing Kathy and ensuring her stable condition. It was a scene that felt surreal after the vibrant energy of just moments ago. Yet, amidst the seriousness of the moment, hope flickered brightly. As the medics carefully loaded Kathy onto a stretcher, her friend grasped Mark's arm, her eyes glistening with gratitude. "Thank you for helping. We couldn't have done this without you," she managed, her voice choked with emotion. Mark felt warmth spread in his chest. It struck him how the day had transformed. What began as a pursuit for connection and community had now shifted into something even deeper, a testament to resilience and support during moments of crisis. "Just doing what anyone would do," Mark said, waving off the praise but realizing that what he had done mattered. With Kathy safely on her way to the hospital, the crowd lingered, heads together as words of relief and encouragement flowed through the air. Mark glanced around, meeting Lucy's eyes, and felt the bond wrought from shared vulnerabilities, how they had all stepped up, creating light in the darkness. "We did well today," Lucy said softly, her warmth wrapping around Mark like a cozy quilt. "It wasn't just about the trucks. It was about being there for each other." He nodded, feeling a surge of pride. The day had begun with dreams of orange pickup trucks and sunset picnics, but had morphed into a day of healing, connection, and hope. This was family. He thought, neighbors rising together against the odds as the sun dipped behind the horizon, painting the sky with hues of deep purple and soft gold. The crowd began to disperse. However, rather than the disbanding of festivities, there was something vibrant in the air. Mark could see folks exchanging numbers, deepening connections that had been superficial before. "Hey, Mark," Tom called, nearly bouncing on his feet as he strode over. "I think we should plan more events like this. There's a fire in the community now. We can keep it burning." Mark smiled, a sense of purpose igniting within him. "Absolutely. Let us keep the conversation going, meetings, potlucks, anything to keep us connected. This is what we need." As night fell, laughter and chatter floated from clusters of townsfolk enjoying the remainder of the evening. Mark felt a rush of energy, a sense of belonging that didn't just come from owning a truck, but came from being part of something much larger. Ethan, now feeling comfortable among the crowd, joined in with his guitar, strumming familiar tunes that drew people in like a moth to light. Mark felt a surge of gratitude for the stranger who had shared his story. He was as much a part of this community as anyone else, weaving his tale into the fabric of their collective heart. Mark took a moment to step back, gaze around at the smiling faces, the newfound friendships blossoming. And as he watched Lucy engage with her new friends near the craft stand, he realized that this was just the beginning. Together, they would tackle obstacles head-on, support one another through challenges, and celebrate triumphs, big and small. The sense of urgency that had once weighed heavily on his heart now transformed into a melody of hope. It was clearer than ever that dreams, whether about trucks or connection, could grow if nurtured. He turned to Lucy, and as he caught her eye, she offered a radiant smile. Their journey was just starting, and Mark felt a rush of possibilities coursing through him. "Let us do this," he said, feeling lighter than he ever had. And as the echoes of laughter and music filled the night air, Mark knew he was no longer just a mechanic. He was a vital part of this community. More than a dreamer, he was a builder of bonds, a weaver of stories, and in that moment he realized that together, they were unstoppable. As the final notes of the evening faded into the night, he couldn't help but think, what more could they create together? If this story moved you, don't just sit there. You need to subscribe now to stay connected to our incredible journey ahead. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and keep our community growing. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this journey and how it inspired you. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformational story. Don't wait, not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel and sharing the love.